Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I've spent the last 2+ decades. Right now, we're in bloody Beaumont. There's a lot of things that go on in bloody Beaumont. You know, and sometimes the last guy you suspect to be foul is usually the guy that's foul. You know, the guy that projects the persona that he's a shot caller, that he's a leader, that he's a G. A lot of times end up being fucked up. I have a friend, Charles Freeman. He's a serial bank robber. He got out in 2004, got caught up. He went and robbed the same bank that he robbed in 98. You know, he's real smart, but he's dumb at the same time. Like, we just couldn't understand why someone that was so intelligent kept doing dumb shit. Anyway, he went to court and got a fresh 15 years. Now, he's from California. Usually when you get sent to prison, they try to keep you within 500 miles of where you live, unless one, you can't be on that yard, or two, they feel you might have too much influence on that yard, so they ship you across the country. Well, in my buddy's Chuck's case, the prosecutor and them know that bloody Beaumont was popping. So the reason I think they sent him over there was because they were hoping he'd get caught up. Anyway, he's real smart in what we call in the legal department. He helps people. He's the legal beagle on the yard. His hustle is helping people fight their cases. And he's a certified paralegal. He got his paralegal certification while he was in Lompoc, while he was locked up in USP Lompoc with me. My attorney, Deirdre Gorman, hired him to help her do some of her case, and he took like 15 cases to the Supreme Court, maybe 30 cases to the Supreme Court, and won almost half of them, which is unheard of. So a lot of people seek out his expertise when it comes to try to fight in their case. Well, one of the dudes that sought out his expertise and helped him fight his case was this Crip dude from California. So this is how I know of the situation. It's through the Crip dude. The Crip dude and my homeboy Chuck, we talk every day about his legal issues. And one day, he brought a letter to us that he found on his locker that was his roommate. His cellie was a GD, but not just a GD. You know, the GDs, they're pretty structured. When he came on the yard, you notice the difference on how the GDs move. When they have homie ball, they got dudes playing on basketball on the basketball court. But when you watch at the corner, you got securities, one posted up on each corner of the basketball court. Whatever they're doing now, it was a little different from before this particular guy got there. Now they're working out in the mornings. Wherever they go, they got security. But not just that. One day, the GD just popped up with fresh tobacco. You know, at this time in 2007, they don't sell tobaccos anywhere in the prison no more, in the prison system anymore. But now the GDs are hustling, and they all got fresh pack of tobaccos. And you can tell it's fresh because it doesn't have grass in it, doesn't have dirt in it. Because a lot of people that hustle, you know, when it comes to tobacco, they're picking it off the ground after the CEO was smoking and throw it away. And they're putting it together and they're selling it. But, you know, I used to smoke cigarettes. So, you know, I got me a couple packages and I opened it up and they were fresh. And, you know, when somebody has a, fresh batch of tobacco, you know they're not smuggling in from the visiting room. You know they got themselves a police. I don't have to know how. I don't have to know who. It's just common sense. We don't have a 7-Eleven where we can go pick it up. So you got the GDs running around selling tobacco. Well, anyway, the GD in particular just came on the compound, and they put him with this Crip dude that my homeboy Chuck is doing legal work for. And one day we're out at the rec, on yard 3 with the basketball court, the handball court, and he asked my buddy Chuck what his opinion was of this letter. I read the letter myself. I sat there while we were all reading the letters. And I can't remember the letter verbatim, so I'm just going to give you a summary and just an example of what the letter said. The letter said, "Hey, Big Eagle, how is Papa Bear? Yeah, everything is good over here. This is little, the words I'm using, the nicknames I'm using are not exactly what is in the letter. My point is that this letter was a coded letter to the SIS. This guy's on the compound working for the SIS. He got code names for the warden, code names for the lieutenant, code name for the SIS, and code names for all the hustlers and movers and shakers on the compound. This dude this is just a figure of speech, 100 years. He wasn't really going home. He wasn't going home in a long time. He had a lot of time. And now what he's doing was trying to work his time down, and he was cooperating with the SIS. But he wasn't doing it just on this yard. He was doing it on other compound. So the letter was, "Hey, Big Eagle, tell Papa Bear, tell Weasel, blah, blah, about, this and that. Oh, little dog over here, he doing this. Little dog over there doing that." Now, this Crip dude that we're talking to, he's somebody that's standing. So we looked at it, we read the letter, and he's like, "Man," because I need to go ahead and show this to the community, the GDs. So he brought the letter to whoever's second in command, whoever he talked to, whoever he was cool with, that would understand that this is not some BS, knows him and knows that he's credible. So he brought the letters and gave it to the GDs on the compound. And I don't know the conversations that transpired between them and then between whoever else that need to go through. But a couple days later, we were on the compound, and 3 youngsters, 3 GDs. Now this dude was their main guy, their shot caller. When he came on the compound, he had them working out every morning. He had everybody moving the way they move. Standing security for shower, standing security for rec, and pushing the line like he's a bona fide motherfucking gangster. And I guess he was. Before this, they knew him from the street. You can't just claim you're a shot caller, especially for the organization like that, unless you've been stamped and approved and go through a committee and been elevated to that position. I don't know a whole lot about him because I didn't even really know who he was on the compound until the incident. So when he came on the line, because there was already GDs on the line and there was already shot callers and lieutenants and whatnot, however they got their structure established. But when he came, he outranked everybody. And he pulled them together and he gave them a hustle. They was running around selling tobacco and other things, and they were organized. And everybody looked at him like, he was the G until this letter came about. But when they found this letter, they did what they supposed to do. If you're a gangster, you're a part of organization, and here's proof in black and white in the man's own handwriting. Don't matter how much he's feeding you. Don't matter what he's doing for you. If you about your business, if If you about the code, you got to deal with it. So a couple of days later, I don't know exactly what time, but we were on the yard. We were on yard 1 with the track. And over on the track by the kitchen, you got 3 dudes jump. I don't know this stuff until, I don't know that it was him getting hit until after the fact. But there's 3 youngsters from GD hitting the dude. Knives, whatever, stabbing him up. The deuces go off. The COs, they shoot a fucking custard grenade. And the layers all on the ground. And now they coming down and they got the those little plastic hand ties straps, so because they ran out of cuffs because there's so many people on the yard, they don't know what's going on, so they want to secure everybody in that area. So they got the zip ties, you know, they handcuffing us with the zip ties and laying us down on the ground. They come, they grab the 3 dudes, escort them. You know, this took a little time to secure the situation. They got the 3 dudes on the ground, laid up on their stomach, handcuffed behind their back. They take that dude to the medical. And they weren't that far from me, maybe 15, 20 yards. But I could hear the lieutenant tell them youngsters that he was bad because this was his gopher. This was his informant. He was part of the administration. He told them, yeah, whatever time he got left, we're going to make sure you guys get it. And this dude here, so it's been some shot caller, so it's been a G. He did whatever he did to get whatever time he got, but now he can't handle that time. He can't win his case in court. So he's been going around the penitentiary putting cases on people to knock his time down. So the point of the stories for me today is that it don't matter if a motherfucker come with a life sentence. It don't matter if this motherfucker is a killer on the street. It don't matter if this dude is some type of gangster, some G. You never know what the breaking point is for a man. And his was, he didn't want to spend his life in prison. And the only way out for him was to put somebody else in his place. I don't know the outcome of the case that they put on these youngsters, but they did what they supposed to do, what they signed up for. And it's fucked up that this buster got these kids cases coming up there in bloody Beaumont, perpetrating like he was going to get away with it, like nobody was going to find out about him. Like I try to emphasize, don't matter who you are, man. People's going to find out about you. Sooner or later, the truth comes out in the wash. And when it does, if you fucking with real dudes, they're going to butcher you. They're going to let you know that this type of shit is not acceptable. Welcome to the USP. There's plenty more.